So Jimmy, it's all done and dusted. We've stayed up, which was the ultimate aim. But if we go back to kind of June, July last year when you started here, could you quite believe what you found or what you didn't find really?
No, I mean, I first sat down with Simon and Daz on a midweek night. I put my CV in. They invited me down for an interview, and I'm thinking I'm taking over. When I get the job, if I take over the side, it's going to be a side that just lost narrowly in the playoff final. How wrong I was, and from that moment, it was a tough gig. I'm not going to lie, it was a difficult situation to come into, but I gave it my best shot, and in the end, it was just about good enough. It wasn't what I'd expect from myself. There's been a lot of comings and goings and turmoil within certain things throughout the season, but the end result is we live to sort of see and fight another day in this league. So I'm proud of what we've managed to achieve in the end.
So it's all kind of come right at the end, but right at the very beginning then, when you started, how hard was it to get a squad of players together to kick us off in August?
Oh, don't get me wrong, Hendon's a fantastic non-league football club, so I managed to recruit 3 or 4 that I knew could do the job at this level, which was good for us. Then we had trials, which is unusual for this level of football, but that's the situation we was in. We didn't have any players, so we had to sort of cast a net far and wide. We're speaking to agents, left, right, and centre, and we had. I mean, pre-season was just a mess. It was just a mismatch of games, looking at a player here, looking at a player there, never really getting a structure across, and it was difficult. So to have the start we had at the start of the season was like, it came out of nowhere, and I spoke, and I've said it a few times this season, if we'd have had the start the opposite way around, the way we finished the season, if that had been the start, it would have gone according to plan, but we had such a great start with the recruitment we managed to do in the end, and then the wheels came off sort of midway through the season, and then in the end we're hanging on and fighting for everything we can. So I could go on all night. I said before, I could write a book on this season. I could write a book about everything that's happened this season, but at the end of the day, the job that was asked of me, the remit was to stay in this division, and by hook or by crook we managed to do it.
So in the run up to Christmas, things were generally positive, especially the first couple of months when we were top 2, top 4. We had the luxury almost of Ricardo German banging in goals like there was no tomorrow. And then the wheels kind of started to fall off when he left, and of course it was always going to be impossible to replace the striker who'd scored 20 goals up to Christmas.
Absolutely, it's always going to be difficult, but and you say about the luxury, and I looked in the lad's eyes in one game, I can't remember where it was, but it was a home game, and I told him there and then, and I said that if you don't score goals, you won't be in my team, because I didn't feel he was doing enough and affecting enough outside of the goal scoring. But the lad was that confident, he turned around and said, and he just held his hand up and stopped me mid sort of team talk and said, I won't stop scoring goals. The boys were laughing. It's brilliant. It was light-hearted, but he came and he did what he said he was going to do, and he scored the goals, and fantastic for the lad. He managed to get his move, and we've never really been able to replace it. Shaq's chipped in with a hell of a lot of goals since he came in, but to have that focal striker that's as greedy and hungry for goals as he was always going to be hard to replace, and we never really replaced that. We got players in that are very different kind of players, but yeah, I think if we'd have had him around, I don't think he would have gone to the last game of the season, put it that way.
So he left, and we then started to struggle to win at home, win away, and we then got into that horrible run. What was that, 9 straight defeats? And I was interviewing after all the home games, and you were obviously getting more and more depressed by it. Or how were you kind of feeling inside during that run?
It was hard because some of the games we didn't deserve to lose, some of the games we did deserve to lose, but some of the games we weren't reflecting me. The lads weren't reflecting what I sort of asked of them, and that's the work rate and the desire and the hard work. And we had injuries, we've had suspensions, we've never had a settled side throughout all that, and that came at such a vital point in the season, because you look at it now, even if we'd have picked one result up, and it needs to be one win out of them 9, we wouldn't be coming down here today expecting and trying to win a game to stay in the league, you know. So there's various points in the season, but the 9 games, it came out of the blue. I think we won 3-0 down here against Merthyr just before the 9-game. It defies logic. I can't put my finger on it, but from the experience and the way that it went, I'd hope that it will never happen again in my managerial career, and I would change it sooner rather than it get to 9 games without a defeat. I'd have done something different. I would have shut up shop somewhere. We'd have got a 0-0 to try and stop that rot. So that's good. I've learned from that. It's my experience that we've been in that situation. So for me to go through that, I'll only come out stronger. So happy with that.
You were saying to me on a regular basis, and I could see from you how frustrated you were that when we were losing another game or we weren't winning a game, it was down quite often to individual errors. And that's something that you can't coach or train because you're not responsible for what they're doing on a Saturday afternoon.
No, you can't legislate for it, and it's even you want to go back to Chesham on Monday. Individual mistakes again, just in a game that we were quite comfortable in, a game that should have made it easier for us to come down here today and not really have to do too much. Individual errors have cost us points, and they cost us points against Frome. They've cost us points against Chesham down here. They've cost us points left, right, and centre, and it's that they're the little things that you can't, like you say, you can't coach, and no matter how much training you do out there, you can't legislate for, which is frustrating. So the frustration just builds and builds and builds, and you end up doing things alien. And I'll highlight Romario today, and I think he's had an outstanding season. He's a young kid that he's just learning the ropes of being a centre half. And I just said to him that if you get yourself into a situation where it's not going right for you, you basically just go back to basics. So you just kick the ball up the other end of the pitch. As a centre half, that's my position. If the ball's up the other end, you can't make a mistake. But players nowadays want to get themselves out of a situation by doing a Cruyff turn, by doing a couple of keepy up. But it's a mindset and a mentality. And Rom today listened to everything I told him, and I thought it was outstanding. He had one shaky moment in the first half where he got himself flat-footed and didn't clear the ball very well, but after that he done really well, and he just played a basic game and he kept us a clean sheet. And because we're such a young squad, we need to sort of reiterate that week after week to all the players that I'm a manager that if you kick the ball in the stand, if you kick the ball in the park, they can't score a goal, and I'm quite happy to do that. I'm not a manager that says let's get the ball down from the keeper, play out to the fullbacks and play that way. For me it's not that effective, and you see teams in this league, and Staines are the epitome of they want to play and play and play, but they're young kids, they're getting battered every week. To be successful at this level, just be organised, be big, be strong, and you get your rewards. And the season's been a massive learning curve, not just for me but for them boys as well, and they'll be better for it.
You said to me last week after the Taunton game that you felt that a lot of the players wouldn't be here next season because you thought that they weren't good enough. So do you have a kind of, I'm not asking for names obviously, but do you kind of have a number of individuals within the existing squad that you'd like to see here back at Hendon next season?
Yeah, but you talked to me after the Taunton game, we'd lost 3-2, so I'd have got rid of them all. Today we've won 1-0 and they're all invited back for pre-season. So it's one of them. We need to strengthen, don't get me wrong. We don't want to be in this situation going into the last game of next season. We need to strengthen, but if you don't strengthen and you're happy with what you've got, you'll never progress. So we need to progress. We need to have a good recruitment. This pre-season, this summer, this season, the recruitment's been, we'll take him because we've got nothing else. We had to take that. But now we've got players, we've got targets. Whether we get the targets and the players we want is another matter. But we know where we want to go, where we want to head with it, and hopefully we can get 3 or 4 targets in. Because I've seen the whole season on a whole now. Taunton, we've matched in 2 games. Weymouth, I thought we battered Weymouth down here first half and should have been handsomely outside and ended up losing the game because we were a bit naive defensively again. Met Police, I think they've done a job on us and they've had a fantastic season, and you look at their organisation of what they do and they're very effective for this level of football. Maybe not the Bostik because they didn't do so well in the Bostik, but in this level, this Southern Premier sort of standard, that's what you need to be organised. And we've come up short in certain games, but I don't fear absolutely anybody in the league. And if we can get the targets and we can get players we want to bring in here and they can hit the ground running and do what we want, there's no reason we can't have a better season next season. And a better season for me, I'm not going to start setting expectations and people, you said we're going to win the league. We need to finish better than we did this season, and a top half finish in season 2 would be massive progress.
So it's all over. Time to have a summer off, recharge your batteries before we go again.
I don't know what's worse, watching the boys out there getting beat week after week, or I've got to go away with the missus to Santorini where she wants to start scouting wedding venues for our wedding the following year. So you would think that I'll have a nice holiday away, but she's going to be dragging me around. But yeah, I need a break. Massively need a break. Need to sort of recover from the strains and the stresses of what's happened this season. And I'm out with the boys tonight, which is good, and that'll lift spirits, and hopefully we're going to have a chat with the chairman on Monday, and we can come to some arrangement, and we can be in a better position to start this pre-season than we were last season. We don't want to be coming in halfway through, all the targets have signed elsewhere, pre-season's up in the air, and we haven't got anybody, and there's no structure to it. I want everything structured. There's going to be massive change next season if I'm still involved and they want me here. There's lots of things that I've just let go by the wayside this season because there's been too much other stuff to worry about, but we need to get structure from day one, and hopefully we can get a squad together, the lads buy into it, and we can have some success, because the fans, I've never been at a club where the last day of the season before the game you're sort of in and around, you can get relegated, and they just never had a negative word. It's just been positive yourself, the interviews from the chairman, from Daz, the secretary that's done so much work for us. I couldn't say one bad word about this place. It's been superb, and I've managed a couple of clubs where it's not gone so well for us, and you get people slating you. So to have that kind of backing has been brilliant, and I've been able to sort of get where we needed to be just for this season. This season was a one-off, complete and utter one-off. It's just frightening what's gone off this season. So if we can get it right, we can be positive about things, and we can have a real go at it next season, and try and bring the success that Gary brought down here, and the continuity for Gary. I know Gary had some bad seasons himself, but he knew where he went wrong, and he changed it, and he got it right maybe the following season or the one after that. So if we're given time, I'm sure we can try and emulate what Gary did, and maybe try and take it one step further.
Perfect, lovely.